This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello. Well, let's get back to it.
The Met Office has warned that the UK could hit... The Met Office has warned that the UK could be hit with snow in the coming days. Snow?
Oh, no.
The forecaster issued yellow weather warnings for snow and ice from Sunday until late on Monday as temperatures across the UK plummet. Plummet? The Met Office has warned that the UK could be hit with disruptive snow falling at a rate of 10 centimetres per hour. And I will translate European surrender measurements for His Majesty's Imperial feet and inches. You double it and add 32 to get feet, so, well, this should be really easy. An idiot could do it. Double 10 is 20. 20 plus 32 is 2032. So there's going to be 2032 feet of snow in the coming days. Can you believe that?
No.
Anything could happen in the next few days. Power cuts, injuries from slips and falls on icy surfaces, and, of course, travel disruption. And with that in mind, motoring organisations have advised that if conditions are treacherous, you simply put your headlights on full beam and hang off the rear bumper of anyone ahead of you and always overtake on blind bends. And, of course, if you're in a Range Rover, you will already be doing this.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. A big freeze is predicted to hit Britain next week as temperatures could reach as low as -5 centigrade. The snow will mostly be hitting coastal areas in the north, but there is a chance of snow falling in London. And if more than a light sprinkling of icing sugar snow does fall on London, expect that schools will be closed and the railways won't work and buses will be cancelled and planes won't take off. Basically everything that you would expect to happen in, say, Norway, but the opposite. The opposite of that. The Met Office said there is a likelihood of some substantial snow, but said it remains unclear as to where it will fall. But that's okay, because it's not like they're in the weather prediction business or anything. Met Office Chief Meteorologist David said the initial snow risk from Sunday onwards is looking most likely to be in coastal areas in the north of the UK, including but not limited to North Sea and Irish Sea coasts. Irish Sea coasts? What, raining, surely? I could check on that while you wait. What? This is wrong. Well, it's not raining in Glasgow at the moment. And it will be sunny tomorrow and sunny on Sunday and sunny on Monday and mostly sunny on Tuesday, misty on Wednesday and then sunny on Thursday and Friday. Good grief. I'm speechless. You might get through an entire week without it snowing in Glasgow. Can you believe that?
No.
Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
Yes. Cold with snow showers inland at times. Then back to less cold conditions, bringing rain and strong winds. That's the next. That's the rest of this month. Did you get what I just said? Hello? Is this thing on? Cold with snow showers inland at times, then back to less cold conditions, bringing rain and strong winds. That's the next couple of weeks. That's the end of this month. Then, first half of February. At first, milder and more unsettled. We'll get cold spells interspersed with rain and strong winds. Blimey, it'd be like winter out there. I think we should just concentrate on the first 3 words. At first, milder. We'll take it. Darryl says, following the surfacing of documents that implied he previously had doubts about the Rwanda scheme, the Prime Minister said that he could not comment as he had not seen those documents. Well, that's a fair point, says Darryl. If only he had been in the room at the time he personally made those remarks. Yeah, but unfortunately, when he made those remarks in that room, he wasn't there at the time. Yeah, wasn't there. Alan says, less than halfway through January and I already have all of the letters of the A to Z, including X, Y and Z. What a year. Can we have Christmas early? It is a leap year after all. Yeah, we could just leap to Jesus' birthday. Why not? It's our right. We can do what we want. A senior Conservative MP has been ridiculed over the bizarre moment that she appeared to suggest that babies get teeth 18 months before they are born. Former Cabinet Minister and senior Conservative MP Andrea Leadsomeone said children's teeth are about 4.5 years old by the time they turn 3.
What?
Was that before or after lunch? Andrea Leadsomeone represents Northamptonshire South and currently serves as... Have you heard? Get ready if you haven't. She serves as a junior minister in the health department. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah, that is totally believable. She was speaking in the House of Commons during a debate on dentistry. MPs were discussing Labour's plan to introduce mandatory toothbrushing in... I mean, with all the other stuff that's going on, isn't it nice to just, to drift downstream and occupy your mind with this for a little while? You know, just a brief moment, and then you can dip yourself back in the misery. Andrea Leadsomeone who, by the way, keep in mind, is a junior minister in the health department. She was speaking in the House of Commons during a debate on brushing your teeth. MPs were discussing Labour's plan to introduce mandatory toothbrushing in schools to help improve the health of children's teeth and ease the dentistry crisis. Well, you know what? I don't know anything about anything. But wouldn't having more NHS dentists ease the dentistry crisis? Think about it. Andrea Leadsomeone argued that it was much more important to have supervised toothbrushing in the family hub. What's that? Do they mean the home hub? It's not a focus group. It's a family hub. In the family hub, she said. And also for there to be education for parents and supervised toothbrushing in nurseries. Seriously, I mean, seriously, are they actually debating over what time to brush your teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this entire country is going to hell in a handcart. We're about to start World War III. People are starving to death, and those that aren't starving to death are freezing to death. Absolutely all of the wealth that has been created over the past, let's say, 50 years has gone to about one person, and that person isn't giving any of it back and has relocated to a moon circularing... oh, never mind. Anyway, back to Andrea Leadsomeone. Former Cabinet Minister and senior Conservative MP Andrea Leadsomeone, who is a junior minister in the Health Department, said the opposition's motion talks about supervised toothbrushing for 3 to 5-year-olds. I do not know whether they do not know this, but we have teeth from before we are born. And then went on to explain that we actually have teeth from before we've conceived. And the Labour Party don't know that. Isn't that extraordinary? She said, if children do not get your supervised toothbrushing until they are 3 at a minimum, their teeth are about 4.5 years old. Does the Labour Party know that? No, they don't. So a baby's teeth are 4.5 years old at the age of 3. Which means, maths fans, that a baby gets its teeth 18 months before it's born, or 9 months before conception. And the Mail was ridiculing this and explained what happens in the following way. It writes, quote, babies' bottom teeth are the first to arrive, usually at around 5 to 7 months. Most children will have all of their milk teeth by the time they are between 2 and 3 years old. Then they all fall out and are replaced by deciduous teeth, which are for life. I mean, I don't know anything about teeth, but I do know that a deciduous tree is one that sheds its leaves. So, without looking it up, I assume that deciduous teeth fall out in the autumn to be collected into piles and thrown on the compost or over the neighbour's fence. So I looked it up. I actually did homework. Can you believe that?
No.
Deciduous teeth are baby teeth. You don't get them for life, you silly newspaper. They fall out when a child is told that Santa Claus doesn't exist. That's the reason why they fall out. Not a lot of people know that. Does the Labour Party know that? Labour said its idea to introduce mandatory toothbrushing for 3 to 5-year-olds to prevent tooth decay would come with an extra 700,000 urgent dentists' appointments and would form part of a wider effort to fix the dentistry crisis. The party said it plans to fund its £111 million a year proposals by abolishing the non-dom tax status. OK, a couple of things. Where are children going to put their toothbrushes if they use them in class? And if thinking about that, would you put one of those in your mouth?
No.
No, you wouldn't. Where are they going to keep the toothbrushes if they're going to do it in class? And second, about abolishing non-dom tax status, the Labour Party, I bet they don't. I betcha that Labour do not abolish the non-dom tax status because that's the preserve of the donor class. And the donor class get whatever they want because of short-termism. They'll wail about it being, it's the politics of envy. In fact, the stupid people with no money will say that. Oh, politics of envy, that is. And how must we support the wealth creators, they'll say. And how they will all leave if we don't let them do whatever they want. And the papers, almost all owned by a handful of men who take advantage of the non-dom tax status, will persuade those that will never benefit from it that it's in their interests. And so nothing will happen. I mean, it should, for the benefit of humankind. Everyone should have to pay tax where they live and operate, but the people who take advantage of it only exist as clouds of mist for tax purposes. And that's why you work and work and work, creating wealth that you never see, because it flows upwards to those at the very top, who hide it from the taxman. Having used the system paid for with your taxes, the NHS and the roads and the police and the streetlights and everything else that tax pays for, has benefited them. If not personally, because they happen to live in Monaco, then all of the people that have made the wealth for them will have benefited from the NHS and the roads and the police and the streetlights and everything else that tax pays for. But they don't want to pay any tax, so they scarp away off to where you don't have to. And then they drop a few pence in the collecting tray of the political party concerned, and they carry on, regardless. The whole world is set up as a pyramid scheme. We're at the bottom. There's about 8 billion of us, The
little people.
And the ones that are siphoning off all the money we make are the ones at the very top, with bright, pearly white smiles. The rest of us have mouths like the tombstones in a disused cemetery.
Disgusting.
In July, a report by the Health and Social Care Committee said more people were pulling out their own teeth at home because they couldn't access NHS services. And approximately how many of those people voted Conservative last time around? I don't know the answer to that, so I'll make it up. 100%. And even if that's not true, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. Dentists have backed Labour's plan, saying it would ease the immediate crisis, but teachers have serious reservations about the policy and question whether it should be down to educators to ensure that children were brushing their teeth every day. No, of course it blooming well shouldn't. What's it got to do with them? But, everyone's being repurposed to paper over the cracks created by
this government.
Exactly.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Okie dokie.
Nigel texts, as we go hurtling into yet another unwinnable war, at least we can rest easy in the knowledge that Grant Five Names Shapps, David the Tool Cameron and Rishi Seven Bins Sunak are at the helm of His Majesty's Royal Navy. This ship's going down. Simon says, hoping to get my text in nice and early before you get inundated. Too late, Simon. I've already got 6 pages of messages to get through. If you stopped now, I still wouldn't be able to get through them, and they are going to continue to pour in for the next hour and 2 hours 40 minutes. 2 hours 39 minutes and 21 seconds. Hoping to get my text in nice and early before you get inundated. See my answer that I gave some moments ago. I just want to say that Hootie and the Rebels has a rubbish ring to it. Please bring back Hootie and the Blowfish right now.
Rock and roll!
Yeah, I don't know. Hootie and the Rebels, I wanted to like their tunes, but they're just not catchy enough. They need to be a bit more Ed Sheeran. Peckham, William.
Good evening, Nicholas.
Yes, sir.
Regarding dentistry, it's been a while since the NHS local dentists were available. What I tend to do, and I have terrible trouble with my teeth because I don't look after them properly, is I go to my large hospital, the Mayor's large hospital, which happens to be King's, and if you get there about 7 a.m., you can book into the emergency dental surgery, and they'll assess you at around about 7:30 in the morning until about 9, and then once they've assessed you, they'll book a further appointment for surgery. That's how I deal with it, and that was what I phoned to say.
Right, are these dentists in training?
I think they might be, but if they're working in large hospitals like King's, they've obviously been trained enough to know what they're doing.
Right. And how's your mouth?
Well, I'm okay. I mean, about 4 years ago, I had a serious issue, and we had swelling for about 3 months.
Oh, nobody wants to hear about your swelling, William. Trust me.
We had to get teeth pulled out,
yes.
and God bless Kings, otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
so,
but, well, let's not get carried away.
So if anyone's got serious pain or serious issue tomorrow morning,
go over to your place.
Get to your local large hospital by about 7:30.
Yeah.
Book yourself in the emergency
and they'll
surgery.
pull your teeth out. Now,
well, no, what they'll do is
it seems unlikely. It seems less. It seems more like. Wait a minute. It seems more likely than not that they will pull teeth just to get it over and done with.
No,
they do.
Well, that's not how it was in King's anyway.
Right, but you told me that they pulled your teeth out.
Well, no, they had to pull my teeth out, but they put you under anaesthetic.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all properly done.
But if you went to a dentist, then they would probably make efforts to save the teeth rather than just yank them out for to save time.
Mine were far too far gone; they had to be pulled.
Right. So is that what they told you?
Yep.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot, William. I bet they just yank them out. Rather than, because it's, it takes 1 minute. If you've ever had a tooth pulled out, it's absolutely astonishing how easy it is. I mean, not to do it yourself, but if you get always ask a trained professional, preferably someone who is trained in dentistry, to pull your teeth out. But it's just amazing how, it came out so easy. I'm surprised that your teeth just don't fall out when you sneeze. It really was amazing. He went in there and he popped it out, and I was waiting for him to do it. And he said, "No, that's it. It's done. Look at this," he said.
Disgusting.
Oh, God. It doesn't matter what state your teeth are in. They look better when you're in your head than when they're out. Awful. Anyway, that was I suppose it was a handy tip. I'm not sure that the NHS would be delighted with that, but, if necessary, you've got to do what you've got to do, right? Simon says, nothing like starting a new war to take the post office scandal off the news. That's right. Yeah. Well, that and all of the other concurrently running scandals. He says, plus it brings in Tory votes. Great, they've killed 2 birds with one. Yeah, 2 birds with one missile. That's right. Oil prices jumped by more than 2% today, following the UK and the US airstrikes on targets linked to the Yemen-based Houthi rebels. America described the move as an act of self-defense to stop attacks on ships travelling through the Red Sea, and the British described the move as doing whatever America told us to. Why has it always got to be us? Just curious about that. I mean, why has it always got to be us? Running along after them like a little lapdog. Continued attacks by Iran-backed Houthi rebels on ships in the area have forced several shipping companies to divert around Africa, extending journeys by up to 2 weeks. Supermarkets have already admitted that the latest escalation could lead to price increases on food. Experts now explain they could impact fuel and energy prices too. But the governments in America and Britain have a tricky election to negotiate, so a little like killing in places far away where none of us will go on holiday would be just the very thing to get people back on side. I mean, we must support our boys and girls. Sexist. Callum McPherson, the head of commodities at Investec, suggested that the overall impact on the price of oil and its knock-on effect on fuel prices might not be dramatic. He said if it takes 15 extra days to sail around the Cape of Good Hope, the longer route, rather than going through the Suez Canal, the extra cost is $0.75 per barrel. 75 cents. That's what we're starting a war for? But as people are price sensitive, that might affect the amount of fuel people use, of course. And that would affect profits that the energy giants make. And we must do everything in our power to stop those poor billionaires who run the energy giants from feeling the pinch. So war it is. Experts have said that even if prices for supplies go up, that retailers could choose not to pass this on and operate with smaller margins as the current profits they are making are high. Not to pass on an increased cost. Reduce the amount of profits they make. Shops. Yeah. Good one. Lucy says, with less students passing their maths GCSEs on resit, it doesn't sound as though Rishi Sunak's succeeding in getting students to learn more maths. Less students passing their maths GCSEs on resit. Well, maybe they're passing them first time round. And it's hoovering up all of the people that have the ability to pass either first or second time. So those that are resitting are much, much worse now than they used to be. So maybe that's it, Lucy. Just saying. Stacey says, I may use my lottery winnings to buy up all the Quakers factories. I will then shut them down. I'm doing my bit to help Rishi stop the oats. Oh, God, that was awful. How could you possibly have let that one through? My glamorous assistant. Neil says that the only reason that Tichy Sunak went to Ukraine today was because he has found a leader who is actually taller than him. Zelensky must be about 4 feet tall. Yeah, but he walks really tall. He might be 4 foot, but he walks considerably taller than that. 0345 6060 973. A couple more, I guess. Too late to take a call before the news. Caroline says exactly. Exactly. Great way to start a sentence there, Caroline. What is it that you are agreeing with? Exactly, she says. More dentists might just help with the shortage of dentists. I don't know. It seems it seems like an easy way out. I think perhaps we should try more privatisation first, see how that works. Gordon says, was Annie Nightingale a cooler radio presenter than me? I think she was pretty much straight from the fridge, Daddy-O, which is how the hip cats talk, says Caroline. It almost certainly is not how the hip cats talk now, or then, or ever, in fact. But, yeah, everybody's cooler than me. Are you kidding? You listening to this show?
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hi, Annie. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. Chris says, great to see the government taking long overdue action after watching television. I'm really looking forward to ITV's 4-part drama about Brexit. Yeah, they've leapt into action about that, haven't they? And claimed that, bizarrely, it's all Keir Starmer's fault. I don't know how they worked that out, but apparently it is. Oh, and the Lib Dems as well. Don't forget about the Lib Dems. Yeah, nothing whatsoever to do with this government or the regime in any way, shape or form. This country is just... I mean, I could be appalled. I've decided to be amused. How about you? Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm amused with you. The year's going well, Nick, isn't it?
Is it? I mean, so far, I'm not totally in love with 2024. I have to be honest.
Yeah. Woke up this morning, some Tory, I don't know who it was, informed me that the UK is at war.
Yes.
That was his very words. And I thought, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. The thing is, you boys in LBC keep asking the same question. Ali Mirage earlier on, I had to enlighten him. So you asked the question. You listen now. You asked the question. Why does the UK follow America like a little puppy?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I've got to explain to everybody. We do not have an independent nuclear deterrent. It was originally arranged between Macmillan and Kennedy. Do you remember those guys? Long ago, who arranged for Polaris to go into our nuclear submarines. It's now called Trident.
Yeah.
And it gets serviced and sorted out and looked after.
And we can only make it go bang if the Americans say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they say absolutely, yeah.
They say to us. So I'm trying to explain to everybody that we are their offshoot, their puppy.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's got to be.
51st state of America, but that you're talking about nuclear war. That's not really what I believe is planned for the Houthis, unless they think that it would really push them over the edge poll-wise in this election year.
But when America goes to give the Houthis a bit of a caning, we've got to go with them.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it's weird, though. I mean, why... I know this is the same question again, but I don't believe that you've actually answered it. You've answered why we can't fire nuclear rockets at them. Yeah, but I don't think anybody's really planning for that. Let's assume not. But why does it always have to be us with the smaller munitions?
The non-existent Navy and Army that we've got,
right.
Is it?
Yeah. A couple of boats, couple of aircraft carriers without the aircraft. Yeah. Lovely boats.
That's the problem, you see, Nick. You've got to go along in case you get a cross word.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to leave it with you. I know it's upsetting everybody, but I'm just pointing it out.
I don't know if people are really upset about it. I think they're shrugging their shoulders, and it's just another one of those stories that comes and goes, and what's for tea?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Jeff, because we couldn't place it on a map. Seriously, if your life depended on it, could you point to Yemen? No, you couldn't. So nobody's really interested. You haven't been on holiday there. You don't know anybody that comes from there. Who cares? Downing Street has rebuffed scathing criticism from Turkey, wherever that is, that the UK and the US airstrikes on Houthi rebel targets in Yemen were causing a bloodbath in the Red Sea amid fears that the attacks could trigger the wider spread of violence in the Middle East. Well, can you imagine a widespread violence in the Middle East? British and American fighter jets and warships, plural. We got more than one ship? Wow, I had no idea. British and American fighter jets and warships launched more than 100 precision missiles at over 60 targets in Houthi-led territory early this morning, with the strikes hitting an airbase, an airport and a military camp. And the thing about precision missiles is that they are very precise, right up to the point that they explode. and then they're not very precise at all. That stuff goes everywhere. Everyone around gets killed or maimed. I mean, if you were in a pub and some bloke spilt your drink, you could remonstrate with him personally, and that would be precise. Screaming at everyone in that pub would not be precise, but it would include the person you were angry at. So apparently that's okay. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan furiously condemned the strikes in a statement this morning, accusing the UK and the US of turning the Red Sea into a sea of blood. But a spokesman for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said, "We wouldn't agree with that. This was limited and targeted strikes in response to aggression. We acted in self-defence in accordance with Article 51 of the UN Charter," he squeaked. And you might be thinking, well, it suits them that the regime are capable of following international law. But you might also be thinking it wasn't our shipping that was attacked. It was international shipping. They weren't our containers, wasn't our oil. Why do we have to stand up against them in an election year when the government are trailing in the polls? And Sunak this afternoon, seeking to justify these strikes on rebel targets, said of the Houthi attacks on the Red Sea vessels, "It's clear that type of behaviour can't carry on. It's why I made the decision with allies to..." No, he didn't. No, he didn't. It said, "That's why I made the decision with allies to take on what I believe to be necessary, proportionate and targeted action against military targets to degrade and disrupt Houthi capability." He made the decision all on his own, rather than taking a phone call from America telling him what he was going to decide. I mean, it's amazing that we don't have the money to, that we do have the money to spend on missiles, which cost about. I'm assuming that it's more or less the same across the board, across the menu of missiles, but they're about £500,000 each, aren't they? I mean, we've got the money for that when we can't afford to pay doctors, even if they are in training, and we can't afford to house the homeless, and we can't afford to keep the blooming libraries open so that people who can't afford their heating can get a bit of warmth. But when America says there's a fight on, we raid the bank and pawn the silver and prostitute ourselves, if necessary, to get the cash to launch an attack.
Absolutely.
And the Prime Minister said the initial indications were that the strikes had been successful. What, you mean they actually launched from the boats? And he sent, and that these strikes send a strong message. But he said, "We will continue to monitor the situation amid expectations the Houthis could retaliate further." For which I read, "We will continue to monitor the situation amid expectations the government's polling won't be improved." Fingers crossed. The Iranian-backed Houthi rebels vowed to respond to the attack, saying that the UK and the US must prepare to pay a heavy price for their blatant aggression. Great. Here we go again. I mean, correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong, but the Houthis are objecting to the wiping out of 2 million, mostly children and women in Gaza, and want the West, who are facilitating that, to do something other than wring our hands and say it really is awful and something should be done. And so, because of that, we killed them. Britain and America launched airstrikes from the sea and air in response to months of disruptive attacks on merchant ships in the Red Sea by these Houthis, with a coalition of nations, including the UK and the US, forced to deploy warships to protect them. But it wasn't really a coalition. Sunak said he believed the strikes would degrade the capability of the Iran-backed group. And the problem that Rishi Sunak has now is that no one can believe a single word that man says. I mean, if you had to make a bet in advance of a minister of this government saying something as to whether it would be correct or not, you'd have to bet that it wouldn't be. Or you'd be a very bad gambler. I mean, you wouldn't be playing the odds, would you? And that's the trouble with lying your face off over the small stuff. It's impossible to believe you when it comes to the big stuff. Downing Street's spokesmodel said of the strikes, "In recent months, the Houthi militia has carried out a series of dangerous and destabilising attacks against commercial shipping in the Red Sea, threatening the UK and other international nations' ships and causing major disruption to trade routes. Well, we acted. Did France act? Or Belgium? Why is it always us scrambling along behind America, loading our rifles and fixing our bayonets? What about Australia and Bahrain and Canada and Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, New Zealand, South Korea? What about them? Well, to be fair, all of those countries wrote a letter.
Oh, fabulous.
The United States and Britain, Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, New Zealand and South Korea wrote a letter which said that the aims to de-escalate tensions and restore stability in the Red Sea were theirs. The Houthis have been attacking shipping in the mouth of the Red Sea, one of the world's biggest trading lanes, since October. And they're doing that in support of the people in Gaza. 73 strikes had killed 5 of the group's fighters, so said the Houthis' chief negotiator and spokesmodel. 73 missiles killed 5 of the group's fighters and wounded 6 others. 73 strikes. So let's say that's 500,000 each. £36 million in one go, in one night, in about an hour. And that's just the missiles. Never mind about the boats they were launched from and the planes that dropped them. So should we say 100 million per day? So that, in Rishi Sunak's words, people don't have their shopping damaged. He actually said that. That's why we're launching a war in the Middle East, because people were having their shopping damaged. A Houthi spokesman said that the group's attacking ships to protest the killing, destruction and siege in Gaza and to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Yeah, that's right. Sounds like fight and talk to me.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
He is a very sick and dangerous man.
Very sick and dangerous. Stan texts, I cannot believe all the recent flooding. I blame Keir Starmer. Yes, well, I think that's, as a default position, blame Keir. No! Thanks a lot, Keir Starmer. You see what you've done. Cambridge, Hassan.
Yeah, hi, Nick. I've been watching the ICJ judgment, and I was so surprised that the BBC and Sky and all the other major channels did not cover it at all yesterday when the South African government was making its case.
Yeah.
But today, all the channels were started covering it. BBC, Sky, etc., when Israel was making their defense. And I think that's quite remarkable because it was literally 2 days, but they chose which day to focus on.
Yes.
And I think it just shows how remarkably impartial our government is. But our media is. But I think I'm feeling very energized by Rishi because he has been started bombing places, and that just things must be just on the way up.
Yeah.
We will be we'll be stuck in another Middle East war for the next 20 years.
Great. It certainly takes the mind off everything else, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. And he can march around the world like a sheriff's deputy, as Tony Blair used to.
Yeah, he can walk tall.
Yeah, we can walk tall. But I think it's a terrible situation, and I hope this thing gets resolved because I think the last thing we need is another war in the Middle East. I think we've had so many of them.
Well, it's been continuous for as long as anyone can remember.
Yeah, no, and then you discover that the Americans are still there.
Yeah, in large part, it's our fault.
And Jeremy Corbyn's fault, of course.
Well, of course, and Meghan Markle. Don't forget her. She's had a hand in this. I know it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But what's amazing is that the Americans have been still sort of have forces in Iraq and Syria, even though the Iraqis have been asking them to remove them for the past few years.
It's like a house guest that just will not go.
Yeah. But, I sometimes miss Trump because Trump used to be able to say stuff like, I pulled all the troops out except for the oil, and we just kept all the places with the oil.
Yeah, he said the quiet part out loud, really, really loudly. Yeah, using words that only he knows.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
Yeah, don't get distracted by how he's funny. Just think of the evil that he did and is more likely to do if he gets in again. He's going to go on a tour of revenge.
And he will be back, unfortunately, to torment us all.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks a lot, Hassan. He'll be back because of a certain demographic.
I love the poorly educated.
Exactly. His fans. Yeah, I wouldn't bet against it. Christopher texts, when I was at school, we used to get a dental van come to the school twice a year, and then they would give us a toothbrush, and we brushed our teeth at school. This was between 1984 and 1995. I hadn't realised school brushing or the dental van had stopped, says Christopher, who is busy living in another age. The dental van? I never heard of such a thing. I heard about the library van, but maybe that was going back a little bit further than that. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the years 1984 and 1995, and my instinct is that wasn't very, very long ago. But actually, it really was. It really was. You brushed your teeth at school. But where did you keep your toothbrush if you brushed them at school? You either kept them at school, which is a pretty awful thought, because where would you put them? Or you took them back and forth to your home and school in your school bag.
Disgusting.
Oh, the stuff that used to be in there. I mean, your PE shorts, apart from anything else. Oh. Dave texts, my landlord told me that if the rail workers didn't stop striking, then the people who put their money into the railways would withdraw their money, so we wouldn't have a railway anymore, and the strikers would lose their jobs. Should I be worried, says Dave. I've never heard anything so stupid in my life, and he's allowed to use scissors. His landlord. Yes, Dave, I think you should be very, very worried, and I think you should find yourself a new place immediately, if not sooner. And, talking of being worried, Anne texts, Andrea, as in Andrea Leadsom, the junior health minister, Andrea has a point. The health of a fetus is determined by what the mum eats and drinks, etc., for at least a year before conception, including the moment of healthy teeth as they're formed in the gums long before showing. Yes, Anne, but that's not what Andrea said. Andrea said that by the time you're 3, your teeth will be 4.5 years old, which means that your teeth will start forming before conception. So I don't think that she has a point. It's the opposite of that. Barnstable. Hello, Ben.
Yeah, hi there.
Hello there.
Yes. I'll tell you what, Nick, I'm like choking on my food every time I hear the news. Because if I hear any sort of Israeli or UK, government representatives going on about international law and how they respected it.
Yes.
I go, oh, hang on, what about all the illegal settlements in the West Bank where people are still getting killed?
Well,
people forget about, conveniently, have forgot about that.
Yes, they only appreciate international law that coincides with their opinions as they changed day to day.
And then they wonder why people, just like us individually, why people, in different countries may not appreciate the UK and America going about being the world's policeman.
Well, I know why America's the world's policeman, because they've got the biggest army. But why what have we got to do with this? That's what I don't get. I mean, why has it always got to be us? Just because we speak the same language? Because we understand the command fixed bayonets? Why doesn't France chip in every now and again? Or Canada? What about Canada? Yes, you're right to be coughing up your porridge there, Ben. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Pauline says, to me, whereas I agree prevention is better than cure, the lack of teachers and teachers' assistants, teeth care in schools might not be achievable. Yeah, I don't see that it's got anything to do with teachers. I mean, you did not get into the teaching profession to deal with kids' teeth. That's the dentistry profession. Isleworth. Hello, Ravi.
Yeah, yes, good evening, Nick.
Ravi.
Nick, I'm not a big fan of TV, but I watched the drama Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, and I've come to the conclusion every single postmaster mistress that was affected should be given £1 million in compensation. Absolutely great drama, and I can't believe that...
Why $1 million?
Why, I tell you...
Seems like a nice round number you just plucked out of the air.
Well, because people lost their lives. At the moment, they're still in shambles. They got 3 different, let's say, guidelines for different compensations. But these guys, pillars of society, and how could this be hidden by 15 years?
Well, what's amazing to me is that there are so many, and the authorities, which would include the government and the people who ran the Post Office Limited, they saw all these people, this vast number who were apparently guilty, and did the thought not cross their mind that, hang on a minute, this just seems like a statistical anomaly. This just doesn't seem right. Either that or the Post Office doesn't half appeal to those of a criminal bent. Now, that's not really what you think of when you think of the post person, is it? So, that so many of them would be on the nick just doesn't sound right to what you could loosely describe as an intelligent person. So either these were morons that we had running the show and running the various government departments that were associated with it, or they were just, I don't know, is evil too strong a word? Morons or evil? Pick one. Thanks a lot, Ravi. Got to go, unfortunately. But well said. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Let me remind you that I do a podcast with Karen McGiffin.
Yeah.
It's twice a week now. There was an episode out today. There'll be an episode out on Monday. We do solve people's problems on this podcast. If you have a dilemma and you want us to solve it, send it to nickandcarol@global.com. And the podcast is What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol?
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
So they opened their big mouths, and out came talk. Talk.
Andy says, good evening, Nick. I hear on the news that Murka has fired some Tomahawk missiles at these nasty people who have been attacking ships. Luckily, the UK were on hand to assist, but due to the economic situation in this country, the best we could contribute was to set off a few fireworks left over from New Year's Eve. That'll solve the problem out, says Andy. Sounded like another listener with material to me.
No.
Yes. Alan says, all commercial shipping should stop using the Red Sea, and we will have to accept price increases when that happens, or the Houthi will keep attacking and we will keep bombing, and between these two things a disaster will occur, either at sea or in Lebanon. Well, if all commercial shipping did stop using the Red Sea, it wouldn't really affect us at all, according to experts, one of which I mentioned earlier on, who said it would add 75 cents to a barrel of oil. Because once it's on board ship, it doesn't really cost that much to reroute it. Not for everything that the ship carries. I mean, for the actual owner of the boat, yes. But if you just spread it around everything that's on board, he said 75 cents a barrel. You know how many litres are in a barrel? Well, I'll tell you, 160. And so that would mean your petrol will go up 0.004 cents. So 0.002p. So in other words, it's just, you're not going to notice. You won't notice at all. You just won't. Alan says, no. Graham says, as the Prime Minister has recently claimed all the glory for halving inflation despite doing nothing, he will blame Jeremy Corbyn or the EU when inflation shoots up after he and Biden start a new war. Well, it's already gone up a little bit. But it's almost certainly Jeremy Corbyn's fault. No! Thanks a lot, Jeremy Corbyn. See what you've done with your meddling. Mill Hill. Hello, Sean.
Hi, how are you, Nick?
Good, thanks.
I don't know from where to start. It's like
start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start.
So every inquiry is like we are going to learn a lesson from them. Then there's a next inquiry.
Yes.
Every war is like this is what we are going to achieve. This is what we are going to do.
Yeah.
Did we not run away from Afghanistan tail between our legs?
Yes, that's what it looked like to me.
How long ago was that?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. So my point is simple, straightforward, yeah? You go to a state in Liverpool from London, yeah, or from somewhere else, and say to the boys there, stop doing whatever you're doing, I'm going to beat you up.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, beat me up. And then you beat them up. And they say, okay, when tomorrow you come back, we'll still be here. Where are you going, mate? I just don't how did we mess up in Libya, in Syria, in Iraq? We don't even talk about it anymore.
Right, because I tell you why, in a nutshell, it's because we, without thinking too much about it, barge into some other place, and then when we're in there, we think, how do we get out of this? And no one can come up with a good answer.
Yeah, but then we run, no? And what do we leave? Who do we leave it to?
Well,
if people think that Taliban were strong, trust me, they should wake up, because these Houthis are worse than Taliban. And for 8 years, with our weapons, Saudis and UAE tried to demolish them. They're still there, even stronger. In fact, Saudis and UAE are trying to negotiate with them. No, we want to take on the baton. I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe Saudi Arabia could use some of those weapons that we sold them, unless they've used them all up to this point, trying to knock down schools in Yemen.
In their backyard, what is it that we're going to achieve? I'm honestly lost for words.
Yeah, there is another side to this, though. I mean, I don't get why we always have to go in with America. I understand America is the world's police. They have adopted that position because of their strength, and they are number one, and they got all the money and all the weapons and so on. But what's it got to do with us? Why do we always have to be trailing them around like a lapdog, yelling into their deaf ear about a special relationship? Because we do what they want whenever they want us to do it. But when it comes to, the favours coming the other way, well, I'm afraid we're fresh out of luck.
Forward. If Rishi Sunak wants to learn a lesson, you should look at Tony Blair. What happened to him when he became a poodle of America?
Yeah, well,
but
it's his
we don't learn anything from inquiries.
Well,
we don't learn anything from wars.
Sean, I'll shorten it for you. Nobody ever learns anything from history, apart from the fact that nobody ever learns anything from history.
Exactly. Actually, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Sean. 0345 6060 973. Paul texts, now that Rishi has been given the freedom of Ukraine, do you think he'll be electioneering by walking around with his tie and jacket off on the front line? Maybe worth a few votes, do you think? No, I seriously think he should keep his jacket on. And don't roll up your sleeves, Rishi, because it's just not you. Button down at all times. Button down and buttoned up. Chris texts, It won't make me popular, but attacking a group taking potshots at international shipping is far more reasonable than most of our interventions. Yeah, that's it. That is what I was about to say with that last caller. The other side of this is, you know, they may not be our boats and there may not be our oil on there or the cheap plastic tat that is filling these freight containers, but you can't just go taking potshots at boats carrying, the world's trade without somebody raising a finger of complaint. Now, I don't know what the Houthis are actually intending to happen. Are they expecting us to stand up to Israel and tell them it might be a good idea to stop killing so many children? They must know that our government isn't going to do that, and neither is the American government. We're more likely to be giving them the weaponry that they're using to kill lots of children. So, I don't know, maybe bringing the world's attention, but the world knows about it already, and they ain't doing nothing. I just think in the future that people are going to look back at this period thinking this is one of the worst things that human beings have ever done. Over the last few months, it's just been a ripe concentration, hasn't it? I don't think it is covering the human race in glory, really. I think the reverse of that's true. Still, never mind. It's just life. 0345 6060 973. Andy texts, millionaire Richard Tice told Nick Ferrari this morning that he wants to cut public services by 5% so he can pay for the inevitable war with France he will start by trafficking migrants to their shores against their will. He didn't say that. He didn't say that, did he?
Don't think so.
Yeah, that doesn't... I mean, even for Richard Tice, that seems a bit strong. But, I mean, you know, in an election year, what could possibly be more popular than starting a war with France among, a certain demographic? I mean, what with their garlic breath and their frog's legs coming over here, teaching us how to cook. I say let's drop the big one. Drop the big one right now. America would be perfectly okay with that. Paul says, now that Rishi has been given the freedom of Ukraine, do you think he'll be election... I'm pretty sure I just read that one out. I just read that one out. He's texted that in twice. That's not my eyes deceiving me. He's texting me in stereo now. Islington. Hello, Joan.
Hello?
Joan.
Oh, hello. Hello, Nick.
Joan.
First-time caller.
Ah,
how are you?
Very well, thanks.
Oh, great to speak to you. I was up early this morning, I suppose as most of us are, but I was up quite a bit early, and I put on the news, and I think it was this, I'm not sure it was the Sky News, or it might have been London News.
Yeah.
And across the ticker tape at the bottom, which I usually read because I can't be bothered really listening to the news, I read the ticker tape for some strange reason, and on this it said something to the effect of scientists at the University of, I think, Lancashire, have discovered a giant solid object in space. And I thought, oh, this could be something to listen to, you know.
Yeah.
Never heard a word after. Not a solid thing after. There was nothing on the news. I don't know if you've heard of it or if your lovely assistant has heard of it.
Well,
or if it's anywhere to be, you know.
Is it... I mean, what you just described sounds like an asteroid.
Well, I was thinking more of a UFO.
Right.
But no, it's a huge round object in space. So they didn't elaborate on it.
And this happened today.
This was early this morning on the news, and I looked for it tonight on the news. It wasn't there. So I don't know what that was about.
Well, maybe, Joan, I am reading between the lines and concluding that we are actually under attack by aliens from space.
I think we're under attack here and up there.
And the government don't want us to know about that. So somebody blurted it out by accident on the TV there, and then they whipped it away when they realised their mistake. They'd told us something that they shouldn't utter.
Well, I just can't understand that. I've seen that happen before on the news, and I've kind of thought, I must remember that, and then never hear another thing about it. And
well,
you think,
as we're speaking,
the idea of it,
I know. As we're speaking,
an asteroid, they should have said a giant asteroid or whatever it may be.
Put our minds at rest, but they didn't say that. No. Well, I just looked it up as we have been speaking, Joan, and well, wait a minute, relax, be calm. You're not under attack at this minute. Relax.
No, I'm quite safe. I'm in bed.
All right. Haslington Halo. Haslington Halo, the stunning alien spaceship in Lancashire. People are travelling from miles to see.
What's that?
Well, this is a report in a newspaper called Lancs Live, as in Lancashire Live. And this is a story from the 17th of October, 2022.
Oh.
So are you sure that you didn't... I mean, have you been abducted, perhaps, and you lost a couple of years?
I think I must have gone back in time or whatever. No, I actually looked at it twice. It came on twice, and that was the end of it, because I watched one channel, turned over to the next, but never mind. It's probably some sort of aerial phenomena, like in the clouds or something.
Almost certainly.
I suppose. So long as they don't come and take us away, we're all right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, at this point, could an alien civilization be actually worse to live in than the one that we got right here? Maybe there's intelligent life in space, Joan. Don't write it off.
I'm sure there must be. Got to be more intelligent than us lot down here. We're not handling it very well at the moment.
No, we're not. No, I think we need adult supervision, the human race.
But I do have to agree with you on one thing about the, and I was really annoyed about it, was America firing their missiles and bringing Britain into it, you know.
Yeah. No, but the way you put that... Hang on, Joan. The way you put that was as though America was telling us, rather than we were eagerly bouncing along behind them.
I was annoyed because I thought, why is it every time America has something to do with some country, like Iraq or Iran or whatever it is, we're dragged in behind them? Do we get asked, or do we just go hand in hand and jolly well go off and do what they want us to do? It certainly sounds like it and looks like it.
Yep, and
feels
like
it.
We're
not a huge country like America. We haven't got their resources at all that
Correct,
they've got.
Amundo, Joan. I've come up with another story. Data reveals number of UFO sightings in Lancashire since 2012. Lancashire police have received 12 reports of UFO sightings across the county since 2012. 2019 was the busiest year for UFO sightings, with 4 reports being made to police. That doesn't sound very busy, does it? Just 4 reports.
Well, they had the triangular UFOs.
The what
that
one?
People were supposed triangular shaped.
Triangular.
Triangular. I try to get my mouth around that without getting too silly.
Triangular.
They come across Europe, across France, across the Channel, across to London.
Right.
And I was actually...
We should push them back out to space.
I actually seen one of them. It was massive.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
I was very, very in awe of it because it had the 3 lights, like they say. But it was a lovely sight, but it was very dark, and you could just barely see the shape in the sky.
You don't want to get anywhere near one of those, Joan, because of the danger of probing. Be very aware of that. And I appreciate the the heads up there, Joan. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. A word coming in from next door. Apparently Richard Tice did say that.
He did indeed.
What did he say?
I will get you the exact quote now, but he said that we should act like Australia and send them back. He says we need to leave the ECHR. He wants us to do what the Australians did and take people back to France. He says we're legally allowed to do it, but it requires the courage and leadership.
Okay, well, he's wrong on so many counts there. I barely know where to begin. But at least he's not doing anything important.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Yes, hello. I've been waiting for you. Hello.
I'm speaking to Ahmed. Hello. You're in New Malden.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Nick.
Yes.
Don't you think $2.3 billion is too much money to pay for freedom of... he's been given only freedom of key or something in Ukraine?
Arrange these words into something that makes sense in English.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just lost my
mind. Yes.
Mind and
thread. Yeah.
Yeah, I had so many other things to think of, and I just lost my wording.
Right.
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you?
Yeah, I mean you're up to here with issues to be concerned about, Ahmed. It's unreasonable to expect you to to express yourself cogently.
Well,
under these circumstances, I get that.
Well, all I can say is, what a lovely war. We're starting another war in, and so far.
So far, so good. So far, I'm feeling very positive about this war so far. Hasn't affected me at all.
Well, it will, I suppose, in time. Yeah. It will affect everybody because they are, all the money they have spent, wasted on these unnecessary illegal wars, they could have turned the world into paradise.
Well, that's true, yes. I mean, but they don't need to stop spending money on wars to turn the world into paradise. They just need to spread the cash about a bit, that's all.
I can't get dental treatment. I mean, I think also in future, if anyone needs dental treatment, they should go to Andrea Bledson. She knows all about dentistry. Yeah. And also, I think all this lot running the country, they need potty training. Is it too early to say that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Oh, sorry about that, then.
That's all right, Ahmed. Just don't ever do that again. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. 0345 6060 973. A very cooperative caller there. Appreciate your cooperation.
Thank you.
Yes, if you have any problems with your teeth, simply go over to Andrea Ledsam's house, close your eyes and open your mouth, and she'll rummage around in there and see what she can do. Junior Minister for Health. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah, totally believable under this regime, yes. Babies have teeth a year and a half before they're born. That's just a fact. 0345 6060 973. That last caller on my board, it said he wanted to talk about the weather. I had nothing to do with what he was just saying. So let's see if Lavinia Grace in Bermondsey can talk about the weather. Yes, Lavinia, what would you like to say about the weather? Is there anybody out there? Too late. 0345 6060 973. Glasgow. Hello, Dean.
Hi there. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Just to let you know, up here in Glasgow, it's not raining. So I know that you sort of speak about that.
Yes.
Every so often. It's not raining, but it's very cold. And actually, next week, we're expecting temperatures up in the Cairngorms to be -20.
Oh!
And I know. And then areas of the Central Belt where I'll have maybe temperatures about -10. So...
well, even in Glasgow, it's going to go down to -6. On Wednesday, 0 will be the high.
Well, I think the sort of energy companies will be looking forward to next week then.
Yeah, rubbing their hands with glee.
Yeah, exactly. Now, like, what I wanted to say is, look, we all have loads of reasons to absolutely hate the Tories. They have been abysmal. And
I don't know. What makes you say that?
But look, are we honestly saying that our hatred and our dislike of the Tories for all of the justifiable reasons is so much that we're going to say we need to look at, obviously start with who the Houthis are. They have risen up in their own country.
You're cracking up there, Dean. Say it again.
They've risen up in their own country.
Risen up.
They have started armed rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
They are Islamists. They're allied with Iran, North Korea, I believe, and sort of Hezbollah. They have been...
Yeah, sure, I get all that, and our friends are despicable, and some of their friends are despicable, and you can pick sides in that area of the map or any other area of the map, and say that these are randomly the people that we choose to support and arm and all the rest of it, regardless of what they have done in the past and what they will do in the future. I mean, like picking sides... I don't know. It's a bit difficult, really, because there's no one group that covers themselves in glory, is there?
No, absolutely not. But if you're saying that we shouldn't have sort of launched these strikes, we have been sort of warning them since November. Yeah. They have been.
But I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm not saying that we, like all of the West, shouldn't have. In fact, I did say that, the problem with firing on international shipping is that somebody is going to raise a finger of complaint. I mean, that's not going to be something that is allowed to continue, because it's going to... Not because of us, the little people, who have to pay more for, shoes or whatever it might be. It's because billionaires will be losing a tiny fraction of their fortune by having to reroute shipping or cancel a couple of boats or whatever it is. So those are the people that we are actually, whose money we are actually protecting. We're not protecting the people on board those boats. Couldn't care less about them.
Well, what I would say this, Nick, is, do you honestly sort of think that the individuals who own the ships and own the cargoes are honestly going to take the hit? No, we will ultimately take the hit, because...
But it's not really very much, though.
The cost to us.
But it's not very much, though. I mean, if it's 75 cents on a barrel of oil and there's 160 litres in a barrel, that's 0.00... is there another zero? Anyway, it's so infinitesimally small amount of money on a litre of petrol that you ain't going to notice.
But the question is, that is as it stands at the moment. I think we have to take a sort of stand on a matter of what you're doing is wrong, and arguably what you're doing, I would say, is a form of terrorism.
There's something wrong with your phone there, Dean. Every now and again you keep disappearing.
Yeah. So look, the argument is, if we simply allow them to keep doing what they're doing month after month after month, it will get worse. Look what sort of happened in 2014 when Russia invaded the Crimea, and we did absolutely nothing, and we thought, well, maybe if we ignore this and if we don't upset sort of Russia, then maybe they'll stop and maybe they'll go away. And look what happened only a couple of years later.
Well, the Houthis aren't Russia, though.
But the
I mean, essentially, we're not at cross purposes here, Dean. I did say that if somebody starts firing on international shipping, then somebody's going to raise a finger of complaint. They will stop them because, that is in none of our interests. But you'd have to say that if the Houthis are doing this in order to draw attention to the killing in Gaza, that they got a point.
I don't think that is the reason that they're doing it.
But to be fair, though, Dean, you don't know.
Well,
you don't.
I don't think any of us actually know really anything.
Right. Well, so we just have to say what they say. But what they're saying is that that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, but look.
So for you to dispute that, you'd have to have some kind of reason why. But if you don't have a reason why, then I don't really see your point.
Well, the reason why is that they're supported by Iran, and they hate the West, and they hate Israel.
Yeah.
So,
for good reason.
No, absolutely. But all the boats in the Red Sea and the individuals that are on those boats are absolutely innocent.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Yeah, and nobody should fire on international trade. Nobody should fire on a lorry going up the A1. And but as for the people on the boats, I mean, I think we can dismiss them because no one cares about them. Believe me, no government cares about them. The shipping lines themselves don't care about them. Not remotely interested in those people. So let's just take them out of the equation. They themselves care about them and their family. I mean, they're people just like everybody else. But some people are dispensable, and they are among them. But don't fire on people going about their business. Would be a good idea. Why can't people just get along? Would be a better idea. But apparently that is out of the question. Dean, thanks for that.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hello.
0345 6060 973. Bobby texts, I have an electric hoodie now. What? I wear that instead of putting the heating on, says Bobby. I suppose it's probably better for the environment, but it's a bit of an indictment that a working man can't afford to put the heating on. When they say the 7th richest country in the world, and I'm sure we used to be 5th, they're only counting the top 50 people, aren't they? Yes. Yeah, they are. Yeah. It's that old story about if you take the average earnings of everybody in a pub, then it'll probably come to 30, 35,000. If Bill Gates walks into that pub, then suddenly everybody's average earnings is over £1 million a year. That might be true statistically, but it doesn't help any of the other people in that pub. And that is pretty much what we've got in this country. Yeah, we're a rich country, but none of the wealth is attached to us poor dopes who pay taxes.
The little people.
Yeah, exactly. It's all at the top. It's a giant pyramid scheme. This country particularly, I mean, the wealth inequality in this country is just abysmal and getting worse with every passing minute. Certainly over the last, let's say, 14 years. About 14 years? Yeah, about 14 years, yeah. Lee texts, but, that's the politics of envy. I'll just save you the call. Certain people who would bellow that from their unheated flatlets, and in which they've had to skip a few meals because none of that wealth has attached itself to them. None of the wealth that they have actually created themselves has attached to them, but they want to bellow about it's the politics of envy. Just the idea that we should spread some of the wealth about. Well, that's socialism, that is. Vote Conservative. Lee texts, wouldn't a better way to stop the Houthis attacking a ship be to stop supporting Israel's attack on Gaza, and cheaper too? Well, that's it's something to think about. Lavinia Grace. Let's see what we get this time. Bermondsey.
Oh, hi.
Yes, Lavinia Grace.
How are you?
Great, okay. Mate.
Well, all I can say is you beat me up, Scotty. Beat me up, Scotty.
I've no idea what that means in this context, but you want me to beam you up?
Yes.
Yes. Scotty, I'm giving it... the ship's giving it all she can, Captain. That guy.
Well, what I'd like to say is that earlier, I was sitting there and I was laughing and laughing and laughing, and I couldn't stop laughing, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard you, I wanted to say what I wanted to say, but because I was laughing...
Oh, blimey. Is this the better... Hang on a minute, Lavinia Grace. Is this a better line? Because, I couldn't hear you at all on the first time I tried, and this is... Well, it's not much better. It sounds like... Are you calling me from a submarine?
No. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Nick.
Yes?
And listen to me.
I am listening to you.
This is very important because...
Yes.
Right now, I'm on the balcony. I'm actually talking on the balcony.
Don't do it, Lavinia Grace. It's not worth it.
It's okay, Nick. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Lovely. Now, what I'd like to say about this... I actually don't want war, but I feel in my heart, Nick...
Yes.
Hold on. I actually feel in my heart that we need war. And the reason why we need war...
You don't want it, but you need it. Mm-hmm.
No, we need it because it's got you to a stage. If Margaret Thatcher was here right now,
yes,
do you know what she would say? Enough is enough.
She'd say, fix bayonets.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We're going
yes,
in.
and also, Nick, listen, what I'd like to say is that we need to set an example. We need to stand our ground. And I'll tell you what we need to be reminded of, right?
Yes.
The hostages in Israel on the 7th of October.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there could happen over here, all over the world. We need to make a stand.
Yeah, I don't think it could happen all over the world, Lavinia Grace.
No, but it will. No, what I'm gonna
you
say-
make a good point about October the 7th. But what happened on October the 8th and the 9th and the October the 4th and the 3rd?
Right. Well, all I'm going to say now, I'm going to give you the answer
It's
right
like
now.
history started and ended on that day.
Okay, I'm going to tell you now.
Mhm.
The solution is
Yes.
now,
War.
not history.
Yes.
No, now. We need to make a stand, Nick, and it's for all of us.
Right.
Because
But who are you suggesting we go to war with? I haven't figured that out yet.
we need to make some sort of stand. Now, what...
But against whom, though? Just anyone?
The terrorists,
Oh, right. We're going to war on terrorists.
yes.
Right.
And
Where are they
we-
then?
Well, they can be anywhere, Nick.
Let's bomb everywhere.
No.
That sounds like a
we
great idea.
Nick, listen to me. Now, seriously, we are England, we are Britain, but I'll tell you something now.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to be you're reminded, we are, what's the word actually, sort of Great Britain.
Great Britain,
all right? And we
yes.
Need, and we need to hold on to that.
Yeah.
And that's
Don't
where
ever
we
forget
need
that.
to make a stand.
Yes, we need to make a stand against who?
Evil.
Evil. Right, we're going to bomb evil. I shall look forward to that. Yeah, let's get evil. I don't mean let's get evil. I mean let's get evil. Excellent plan there, Lavinia Grace. Thanks for that. You've given us a lot of food for thought. Rick texts, "Hey Ricky, you're so fine. You'll blow my mind." Hey Ricky, he says we should have fired kids' teeth at them. That's a good idea. Yeah, that'll teach them. Yeah, eat this. Oh. Steve texts, a war won it for Maggie. Or was it the Sun what won it? Well, it's not the Sun what won it. The Sun, like Rishi Sunak, just waits for something to happen and then takes the credit for it. You know, like halving inflation. It's one of his top priorities.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities.
Yeah, you got that the wrong way around. Never mind. Keep trying. 0345 6060 973. Wellington. Hello, John.
Oh, hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Not too late to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you. I was just ringing up to say I heard on a podcast. It's the second best podcast on Global Player.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Which one?
I think it was Alistair Campbell and Rory Stewart.
Right.
And they were speculating, and they know, because they mix in political circles, the reason why Rishi Sunak is Prime Minister, because I remember you said a few times, what's this guy doing it for? You know, he's a billionaire.
Yeah, not how he became Prime Minister, but why he wanted the job in the first place.
Yeah, what's his motivation?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
What's
is it
his motivation?
anything to do with money?
Well, it might be, but this is an even more bizarre one.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that Alistair Campbell said it. He said that
He wants to ingratiate himself with his father-in-law, who's got way more money than he does. Right.
Yeah, he wants to ingratiate himself with his father-in-law.
Right. Make himself, big tough guy.
Yeah, if I was his father-in-law right now, I'd be ringing him up saying, "Can you not bomb the Houthis?"
I don't know. I'm sure his father-in-law is surrounded himself with a wall of money he can't see over. He's probably has absolutely no idea what's happening over here.
He's worth 3.7 billion quid.
Billion quid, yeah.
But, I mean, why can't they go out 10-pin bowling?
Why can't who go out 10-pin bowling?
Well, Rishi Sunak and his father-in-law.
Right.
If he wants to impress him.
Yeah, but that would mean that Rishi Sunak would have to pick up one of those balls, and I'm not sure. I just don't think he could.
I don't know. Do you think he'd not be very good at it?
Well, I don't think he'd be able to pick one up.
Well, he picked up a billionaire's daughter.
Oh, that's true, yes. Yeah, that is true, yeah. She doesn't look like, I mean, you know, with the greatest respect, she doesn't look like she weighs that much. But bowling balls, a little bit bigger.
There's a joke I could go on about three fingers, but I couldn't do it.
Probably not, no. Thanks a lot, John. 0345 6060 973. Jill texts, nothing worries Sunak. It all goes over the top of his head. Ricky says, step 1, fire missiles at them. Step 2, invade them. Step 3, uninvited them and leave all your guns behind and let the terrorists run the country. Uninvited them. That's obviously been auto-corrected to something you didn't mean. Uninvited. What would that mean? Uninvade them, maybe. Uninvade them and leave all your guns behind and let the terrorists run the country. Well, that sounds like a plan. Sounds familiar, says Ricky. Prepare yourself. 0345 6060 973. Colin says, why are the supermarkets putting prices up? They have tons of stock at distribution hubs and much of the produce is from Europe. Well, ever smaller amounts from Europe because of a, you know... But let's not go talking about that. One conflict at a time, please.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Thank you for holding. Your call is important to us.
Yes, your call is very important to us. Nick in Lewes. Nick.
Lewis, actually, but not... good evening.
Yes, good evening, Nick. Here's another one of these lines that keeps dropping out all the time. Nothing works in this country. It's just absolutely incredible. We have the slowest 3G, 5G speed in the G7 of any major economy. We've got the slowest phone download speeds, and their actual phone lines don't work.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? I mean, Finland have had free Wi-Fi for everybody for 20 years or something. But, well, something like that.
Finnish people, firstly, always so perfect.
Yeah, it's because it's so cold. And they whip themselves a lot, I think.
Do they? Well, there's another excellent reason not to go to Finland.
Type thing.
Right.
Yeah, birch type stuff. Nothing,
I see, right. Nothing
unsavoury.
Kinky, right.
No, heaven forfend. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you, if I may.
No.
I'm reassured that by your, I know it's partly your style, but your recognition of the sort of absurdity, hypocrisy and sort of Dadaist surrealism of the events in the Yemen specifically. So many media people are, and not just in this event, traditionally are much more pro-military action than the public are.
The thing is, Nick, when a nation goes to war, even if in the fullness of time the entirety of that nation disagrees with that decision, at the time of war, what you get is the country rallying around the flag and, by extension, the people who are running the country, which is why, in the face of sinking polling, leaders will often start a little war in order to give themselves a bump.
Yeah, I remember talking, 20 years ago, whatever, Gulf War, talking to someone who was quite supportive, but after discussion, he said, "Well, you've got to support our boys, haven't you?"
Yeah.
And I mean, he didn't,
because the papers
more important to him than the political reality of the situation.
Yes, it's instinctual, and the papers are really going to go for this big time. It's going to be all over the front pages, and we socked it to the Houthis and take that, and all of that kind of stuff.
All the gotcha type of thing.
Exactly, because they know that's what chimes with a certain section of the readership. And they're in the business to make money, and killing people in large numbers makes a lot of money.
It does indeed. But I still think that the public support for military action is overstated. I mean, what do I know? But it's just my sort of self-referenced group.
Well, I don't know. Who's stating that there's support
for it? Well, I think
you're just assuming that will be the case.
Well, I think the media seems to be putting forward an argument that this is inevitable and the right thing to do, and so on and so forth, and this is part of our legacy. And I don't really think... and
absolutely none of them will be saying what the Houthis are actually demanding, which is that Israel stops killing so many women, children and men, mostly children.
Yep.
Does that seem like a revolutionary concept? I mean, so for somebody to point that out, I mean, we're treating it kind of the same way as people. I know it's not like it at all, but when people walked slowly in the street to bring the imminent climate catastrophe to the government's attention, the government's reaction was to put them in prison. Not to deal with the problem, but to deal with the people who were telling us about the problem. And some poor blokes in prison for 6 months for walking slowly, for crying out loud. Not in Russia, not China, here, in this country.
Yeah, we don't like anyone to sort of go against the state, do we? That's
we don't.
Treason, isn't it? Treason on the Queen's dockyard.
We don't mind it, Nick. It's the regime which are set against it. And so this seems to be the same kind of thing. I mean, some people are saying what seems on the surface to be a reasonable thing, stop killing so many children. Wouldn't that be a nice idea? And our reaction to that is to... I mean, I know that they went a stage further than just saying that, and that because we weren't going to do anything. No one was going to do anything about it at all, ever. The Israelis could carry on in the current manner forever, and no one would say a word. No one would raise a finger of complaint. America and this country would still be selling them the weaponry to do it, and claiming that they have their right to defend themselves. Well, some people might say that it's gone a little bit further than defending themselves. They might be on another path here. But, that is for another show and another presenter, perhaps, to discuss that with you. But it seems that our reaction to somebody pointing out a truth is to react with great fury and vengeance and to shut them up.
Yeah, if I may, just one final point. I don't understand. Well, I don't understand. I thought it might be a good idea if the Egyptians closed the Suez Canal.
Well, climate change almost did that for them.
Yeah, they had a big traffic jam there, didn't they? But I seem to remember I suppose it would be in the 70s or something, they shut it for 8 years or something during a sort of, arguing about the same conflict they're arguing about today.
8 years?
I just thought it's their canal, they own it.
Despite the fact that we insisted that it was ours and went to war about that, but that's ancient history, Nick. And you know what history is like.
Boring.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. Well, I think also, we had 5 protectorates on the other side of that sort of Saudi-Yemen peninsula there, didn't we? Up until 30, 40 years ago, when we were propping up all the Omans and UAEs and Bahrains and so on and so forth. So, we chose then we chose sort of the monarchists, then we thought, we want the Sunnis to win over the Shiites, then we thought, we want the Shiites to win over the Arab nationalism.
Yeah. And at every stage...
we move, people die.
Yeah, that seems to be our history. We barge into places where we weren't invited. We take all their best stuff, shoot anybody that raises a finger of complaint, and then claim that we're actually doing them a favour.
Yep. And how dare they protest when
we're British, damn it. Yes.
Well, I think that's the other thing, is with the technical superiority of America and Britain supplying whatever a few screws, it just forces anybody who disagrees with them, who hasn't got that military might, to enter into a sort of, if you like, asymmetric warfare. And what that means is civilian casualties, suicide bombings. I mean, didn't someone drive a boat into an American naval vessel in the Gulf several years ago and killed quite a few sailors?
Well, when you say force, it's not force exactly, but if that's all they have at their disposal, then they're going to use whatever they can, just as we do.
Yeah, just as throughout history, every occupied or oppressed country has had its freedom fighters, terrorists, insurgents, call them what you will.
Right.
And often,
all of the above, depending on your position.
Yeah, and they're heroes one minute and then nasties the next.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much for taking my call, Nick.
Okay,
thank you
all
again.
Right. Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers. 0345 6060 973. This is way more serious than I expected when I sat down here this evening. But you didn't bite on dentistry, literally. So we got stuck in war. Paul texts, I was sitting at home listening to LBC last night, hearing how we were going to strike the Houthis. Even though I am, for the most part, a peace-loving anti-war guy, I felt the US and the UK showed great restraint for weeks. I believe we are in it pretty deep now, and I think it was time to say, OK, you continue to ignore our warnings and terrorise the free world shipping waters. Here you go. Good on the police forces of the world, says Paul. Right. Yeah. Well, you can't allow somebody to take potshots at international shipping. You just can't. On the other hand, why has it always got to be us in America? These other countries, they just signed a letter. Couldn't we do that? Let Canada do some heavy lifting for once in a while. 0345 6060 973. By the way, there's a podcast that I do. One of the, let me see now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 podcasts.
What?
5 podcasts a week. And one of them is called the Nick Abbot Habit. And that is best of old shows. Clips put together with my own sweaty palms and stuck up the internet on a Monday. And the last one, I decided to take some of the A to Z from 2019. Just to remind us about, the good old days. And I put a clip in there from the A to Z of 2023, the one that has just gone, because it was just really funny. I mean, really funny. So it's up on Global Player. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. It's about half an hour long, comes out on a Monday. If you wish to be amused, I think you'll love it. It's called The Nick Abbot Habit.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Okie dokie.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
0345 6060 973. Carl texts, the reason why the rest of the world like the UK and America to police the world is because America has the biggest army and the most money, but the UK are the best trained, quite simply. Says who? People who are infected with British exceptionalism, the best trained by what measure? Pauline says, to me, again, taken in the round, South Africa is right to use facts to pursue an essential life-saving ceasefire. I don't know, did that sound like it was written by a robot?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Affirmative.
There you go, that's a robot. This guy's a real person.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't know, it sounded like a bot is texting me. It was just such a weird jumble of words. To me, again, taken in the round, South Africa is right to use facts to pursue an essential life-saving ceasefire. OK. If you say so. Glasgow. Hello, Stephen.
Hi there, Nick. It's a pleasure to speak to you again.
Yes, sir.
And I'll give you a wee update on the Glasgow weather. The Glasgow weather has been... But we have not had rain for a week.
And you're not going to get it for another week. It's going to be sunny, but cold.
It's actually been... We got the big high of -2. This week, I felt like I was in Marbella.
Yeah, you want to peel off a couple of layers before you go outside, Stephen.
Yeah. I was calling up about this Yemen, the Houthi situation.
Yeah.
Do you think... Maybe I'm being cynical, but is it no convenient for Mr Sunak and Mr Biden, to a certain extent, to have a war to go to on the election year?
Completely, yes. I mean, it's handy that it came along as it did.
Yeah, totally. This is what Mr Sunak's been waiting for, because it's the only... God hope that he doesn't win anything, but this is his only chance, and that's what he's banking on.
Right, I don't think that God's going to have much to say about it. I think if God was, busy thinking about intervening, then he would have done so at some point previously to this.
Yeah,
so I don't hold out any hope for some sort of divine intervention. No.
But it's just political opportunism, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, it solves some problems. It has the possibility of making the regime more popular, yes. It also funnels a vast amount of money to the defence industry, which is, what we do to the exception of much else other than moving numbers around a screen and taking a portion of it. And... it sort of takes the mind off everything else as well. When you're rallying around the flag and you're counting the planes out and you're counting them back in again and all of that war stuff, then, it invigorates a nation. Gets you out of your slump,
yeah,
Stephen.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Not really a heated debate, more of an agreement. Jeremy texts, Nick, urgent. My mate sent a video of Rishi speeching in the Ukraine Parliament. My mate thinks he might consider the dark side and vote Tory.
What?
He's made me scared to watch as we're both mad left-wing, says Jeremy. Well, I heard a clip of Tichy Suitseyes talking in Ukraine there, and we were the first to send tanks and we were the first to send rifles and, all of that stuff. It's not about you. But he managed to make it so. 0345 6060 973. Oldbury. Hello, Rangers.
Hi, Nick.
Yes, good, thanks. Now, I have a question to ask you.
Go on.
I read a report today that fishmongers, people who run fish and chip shops, were actually selling people who ordered fish and chips. They were selling them, unbeknownst to the customer, shark meat.
Well, I totally deny that because I go scumping in my local pond. I've told you before.
Oh, right. It's all goldfish over at your place.
You know what? We are going to be a dying breed, I think, very soon. It's not going to be long before... we're going to be a thing of the past because it's not looking too good. I mean...
Who's we, though? Are you talking about fishmongers or...
Fish and chip top
Fish and chips,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about us, like the human race.
Oh, but, well, the poor people are doomed anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
We just kill each other more than anything else. Like that guy who keeps on texting you, politics of envy, right? You should just have a look at his bank balance first, right, and have a look, what's he saying.
Well, those people are gone, Ranjit. They're you can't get in touch with them anymore. They're lost to us. Just let them go.
Yeah, you got to let them go. I mean, you say history is boring, yeah? But when Tony Blair wants to go into Afghanistan or Iraq, I can't even remember there's that many that we went to the weapons of mass destruction. There was a cross-party agreement here, and they're still trying to demonise Tony Blair even today. Yeah. So we've had now yesterday.
Well, there was, to be fair, there was cross-party agreement based on inaccurate evidence.
Well, you know what? I'm going to dispute that with you, right? Because when Iran and Iraq were at war, right? I mean, I don't want to go into history, but, you know, in 1978, when the Ayatollah returned back to Iran, right, he kidnapped the 52 hostages, and America thought, we're the world's police and we can get our hostages back. They actually got their butt kicked, yeah?
Yeah.
Right? And absolutely, they came back, you know, with their tails between their legs and had to give 52 tons of gold. So we then went into Iraq and made them have an 8-year war with Iran. So I reckon somewhere along the line, weapons of mass destruction were supplied to Saddam Hussein.
Well, he used them. I mean, to agree with you, he actually used weapons of mass destruction on his own people. The people who lived up in the marshy areas, he gassed them. So there's no doubt that he had them. It's just that he didn't have them when we looked for them.
Yeah, so we didn't find him. So Tony Blair, for that reason, I mean, I'm not a number one fan of Tony Blair, but he wasn't totally wrong, was he then? Because there was weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, but the key part of his warning was that they could get them to us, in about the same time as it takes to order a pizza.
Yeah, okay. We're not digressing, but what I'm saying is this has been a cross-party thing now again, so we've all agreed to go on there. So, you know, when the MPs had that scandal about all the expenses, right, all the MPs united together, because people in glass houses don't want to throw stones. Yeah.
Well, they didn't want us to know about it in the first place. They were very angry that somebody told us about it, and they wanted the continuation of their subsidised lifestyle.
Yeah. So, like now, right, what happens is, I mean, even if you look at all the wars, right, and the biggest lie now, Biden's saying, this isn't a proxy war with Iran. Well, I'm sorry, Biden, this war's been going on 50 years, because when you put the Shah in Iran, that was when your proxy war started, and it has never really finished.
Right. Well, a little bit before that, because history is not my strong subject, so everything I'm about to say is probably wrong, but we marked out much of the Middle East with a ruler and said, right, you people can live over here, and all of you people can live over there. And we thought we'd done a tremendous job, and then we went to congratulate ourselves over a nice cup of tea.
Yeah, and, you know, America's history, right, is checkered. I mean, you know, when the Russians invaded Afghanistan, right, where did the Afghans get their money for their weapons to buy off America? What they done was sold all the opium and the heroin into America, right, got that money, and they bought the weapons off America to beat Russia. So America, to keep their supremacy, will do anything, and we are his lapdog, and we're always going to be his lapdog. But I just can't wait, you know, when Sir Keir Starmer is Prime Minister, and I think in all probability it's going to be the Donny who's going to be the President. How are they going to be talking to each other? Because you're going to have somebody who's totally dumb, which is Trump, and somebody very intelligent, who's Sir Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
Are we going to have that special relationship?
There is no such thing as a special relationship. I wish people would stop saying that. Just because we both speak the English language don't mean nothing. What have we got from America that would be from this special so-called relationship? What have they actually done for us?
Nothing. Well,
Nothing.
2 years ago, when the steel prices went up, America started putting a tariff on Sheffield Steel, and all our steel work shut down, and America was supposed to be our friend, but they bought them from somewhere else, You know that young kid that got run over on his motorbike? We never extradited that woman,
back to this country.
Well, diplomatic immunity. Yeah, I know we can go through it, but I just don't see the positive.
I'm not America, it's all one way.
Exactly.
One way
That's
with
precisely what I'm saying. Yeah, in the positive column of our special relationship, there's nothing in there. The negative column is absolutely chock full.
And, you've been saying now for months and months, right, there may not be an election, right, for our safety.
Yeah, for our
right?
safety, yeah.
And it's looking more and more that way, because it's in Biden's interest not to have an election, and it's in our interest not to have an election. So maybe there'll be an emergency parliament while we sort these problems out, and maybe they can create another one somewhere else. Because sooner or later, if you keep on prodding Iran, they're going to come out fighting as well. I think, because at the moment, they've got the Houthis doing their dirty work or whatever, and America's got their fingers in every pie around the world.
The thing with Iran is that our idea of what Iran is like is not really correct. Iran is not people burning the American flag and shouting death to America. It's not the mullahs who are running the show. It's a very young country, and by and large, the people they don't like the regime, and they don't like the constant belligerence. They're actually quite positive towards the West and America. The young people are, and they just want what every other young person alive wants. They want to have a nice time. They want to go dancing, and they want to fall in love, and they want to start a family, and all that good stuff. What they don't want is to be in a permanent state of war with the evil West. But that's not what you hear about Iran. But Iran, I've got to go. But thanks for that. Do you give this sort of lecture with every bag of chips? All right, thanks, mate. 0345 6060 973. I think I had shark once. It tasted a bit like chicken. Actually, I think it tasted a bit like pork. It had the same consistency, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was actually pork.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Please hold the line. I'm trying to connect you.
Yes, I am trying my best to connect this call in Brussels from Emma. Emma.
Hi, Nick. Hello there. I know we don't always agree on everything, so I'd be interested to hear your perspective on this. So I was just saying to your producer, researcher, that I was desperately trying to find my copy of Private Eye where it talks about this, but the Prime Minister and his wife and his father-in-law, their company still invests in Russia despite the sanctions. And so it sort of feels a bit queasy listening to his statements today about we stand with Ukraine. So that was one thing I was going to say. And then the other thing...
Yeah, but also there's a long history of the Conservative Party being very, very close to persons of Russian origin.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm actually then going to quote for you. You're talking about military stuff. So I've had this really interesting in number 1613 of the Private Eye, so it's sort of their seasonal Christmas one. And they have this piece about nuclear submarines, right? Now, I just still can't believe these words are written. There's no allegedly here. But it says, in January this year, which would be in 2023, so in January 2023, inspectors found some of Babcock workers, and these are people working on, this is a company, UK company, working on submarines in the UK. Babcock workers had simply superglued the heads of bolts that had sheared off back on rather than replace them.
Well, what could possibly go wrong? It's just a nuclear submarine.
I know. It's like, wow. And there's been about 3 or 4 stories. I mean, as we know, the good old Private Eye have been, telling us all what's been going on with the post office forever. And I just feel there's so many of these kind of scandals that are just waiting to come out. But the thing about, the Prime Minister, basically, he is, through family, investing in Russia still without any sanctions. It's bizarre.
Well, I don't know which, through Right. I don't know which company would be doing that, and I don't have any evidence. I assume that Private Eye do, although they have a history of being taken to court
by people like Robert Maxwell. Yeah,
right,
and proven to be right in the end.
Well,
so I just find that fascinating.
Yeah, the law does favour the rich in this country. So if you've got a lot of money, then you can pretty much do whatever you like, and the law will back you up.
Yeah, well, that's where these slaps have come from, haven't they? These strategic law suits. But no, I just think, I don't know, I think everybody in the whole country should have a free subscription to Private Eye, because they are consistently calling out these things.
Well, the Panorama did as well. John Sweeney, who was apparently part of that thing, he tweeted out today, our Panorama trouble at the post office in August 2015 had a Fujitsu whistleblower who said Horizon Computer generated errors. This was the first time outsiders knew for a fact that the post office was lying. So it is unfair to criticise Keir Starmer and Ed Davey, who were out of the picture in August 2015. By then, the Conservatives were in charge, and they gave Paula Venables a gong.
Exactly.
Yes, they did. A gong.
I have a bet with you then, Nick, which is the next one will be the blood scandal, because I've just bought the book about that. That will be the next one that finally does get some sort of airtime, because it's similar. Lying, and more lying.
Yes.
But anyway, but thank you. I just wanted to share that with you, and everybody who's listening, please subscribe to Private Eye. They have things ahead of the game, and despite Ian Hislop's record of being in court, I think at one point he said, if I'm liable, I'm a banana. And that was Robert Maxwell case against him. Then he's been proven right all along.
Yes, that man's no banana.
No.
Different sort of fruit. Thanks, Emma. 0345 6060 973. That was an unsolicited testimonial on behalf of Private Eye. Chris texts, hi, Nick. I really hope in May, when we have local elections, they will also hold the general election. Sadly, I think these clowns will hold the general election in December, and with their voter ID rubbish, hope that a low turnout will mean they scrape in. P.S. Is one of these UFOs reported to the police, is one of these UFOs reported to the police Michael Fabricant's hair? Oh. If that is indeed what it is. Megan, not that Megan Shorley. No! Megan texts, given the state of the world at the moment, where is that meteor again? I don't know, maybe a meteor the size of Manhattan, bashing into the Earth and creating a 100-foot tidal wave that sweeps around this small blue planet of ours, and by that method gives us a fresh start. Maybe that would be a good thing. Hands up, who's with me? Let's set up a giant magnet, see if we can make it happen. 0345 6060 973. Haringey. Hello, Peter.
Oh, hello, Nick. Yeah. Oh, just about the Houthis. I mean, would you want the Houthis running your area?
Area?
Like a bunch of gangsters on the corner running your area. Like they're creating trouble in the Middle East on the. Would you want them doing that?
Would I want them running my area?
Yeah, just, like gangsters running your area. You'd be answering to them when you go out and about.
I don't want anybody around my area.
No, I mean, I think it's the right thing to do to bomb the Houthis. I mean, these are just a bunch of tin pot gangsters, and they need to be eliminated.
Oh, right. Well, kill them all.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that the reason why Britain has to get involved is we're one of the great countries of the world. We built the world.
One of?
And we're one of the,
What do you mean? What do you mean?
One of the world's policemen.
What do you mean, one of? What kind of unpatriotic thing is that to say? One of?
Yeah, well, there's a few other countries that built
Name
the world
them.
as well, with empires and that sort of thing. So.
Name the country that is better than this one.
No, I think we're the best.
Well, I don't know. That's not what you said at the beginning there, Peter.
No, I'm not saying. I didn't say we weren't
sounds
the best. I'm saying
treasonous to me.
No, but I mean, obviously with America,
Peter, why can you not stop talking this country down? That's what people want to know.
No, we want the great one.
There you go again. One of. Oh my God! This is like
we're with the Americans bombing the Houthis, and that's a great thing we're doing.
This is
we're sorting out the problems of the world, mate.
An offence to my ears. One of. I've never heard anything like it in my life. You want to be in jail, mate. All the best. 0345 6060 973. So kill 'em all, says Peter. That seems reasonable. Mike texts, what I can't understand is what Rishi did was what did Rishi have to sign in Ukraine? He's giving stuff away, not negotiating a contract. Was it an IOU, perhaps? Yeah, what's that about? Was he signing the visiting book? Rose texts, of course everyone knew all those post persons couldn't be guilty. That would be a coincidence of a miraculous order. In fact, the Post Office deliberately told individuals that they were the only one before, in effect, libelling them. Evil? Yes. Theft, conspiracy to defraud and to defame, emotional abuse, mental torture, all these were committed and need punishing, says Rose. Yes, they did that. They took all these people to court. And it wasn't Keir Starmer's fault, of course, because he had nothing to do with it. These were private prosecutions. Didn't have anything to do with the Director of Public Prosecutions. These were private prosecutions by Post Office Limited. And all of these people, I mean, it just blows my mind how an organisation can think that its hiring policies are so bad that almost every single person that they hired and probably checked their backgrounds thoroughly, every single one of them was a crook. I mean, don't you think that alarm bells would have been ringing in their minds, that maybe they've got something wrong, that maybe this doesn't stack up, it doesn't look logical? Absolute numpties. And they did that. They took these people to court, these poor people to court. Staggering, really. And they did not tell them that they were one of a vast number of people that they were doing the same thing to. None of these people knew that anybody else was being similarly affected. They all thought that it was just them. I mean, that's just awful, isn't it? Still, nobody that is actually guilty of any of the above is affected in any way, shape or form. All doing very well. Thank you very much. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
I am stunned. 0345 6060 973. Frankie texts, can we give a sensitivity award to Ulrika Johnson, who, on hearing about Sven-Göran Eriksson's terminal cancer diagnosis, sent out a tweet which said, not a decent person. When talking about Gollum, Gandalf said, many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them? Then do not be too eager to deal out death in judgment. Still, Gollum probably done better in the World Cup, says Frankie. Gollum. That guy.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
Yes, thanks. Nice to meet you too. He used to be the Defence Secretary. Can you believe that?
No.
Rob texts, if the ships go the long way round, the money we save by not using bombs and missiles could be used to compensate these shipping companies if necessary and save lives. If you drive down a road where kids are throwing stones at cars, you take another route, says Rob. Well, that makes as much sense as anything else I've heard this week. Let's have Maidstone. Rob.
Hello.
Yes, Rob.
Well, did you see Mitchie Gove in front of Select Committee this week?
Yeah, that weird thing that he does with his hands, it freaks me out. He sort of, I don't know, he puts them into some sort of weird, like claw-like thing, like a dead person's hands.
Yeah, so I'm going to need you to explain something to me.
Yes.
All right. So we were promised a report on the Teesside Port Authority last August.
Yes.
Then it was moved to October.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was moved to December.
Yes.
And now it might not come out until after the mayoral election.
And Rob, the answer to that question is that is only right and proper.
Well, can I ask if I can go on a Tory business course? Because I see that the mayor, who's now a lord, sold off the 50% of the project that the taxpayer owned for £1 per acre for 110 acres. Mm-hmm. And the company that bought it reported profits of £146 million in a year, of which 50 million went off to the 90% of their shareholders who are friends of the mayor.
The thing with that, Rob, is that I'm unable to comment on that because I don't want to prejudice the inquiry, which is the right and proper thing to do.
Well, it's the right and proper thing to do if you're part of the Tory corruption wagon.
Well, that is your reading of it, and I'm afraid I'm unable to comment about that, Rob, because I don't wish to prejudice the inquiry, which is the right and proper thing to do.
But can we keep a list of all of the scandals that aren't going to make the front page of the Daily Fail before the election? Because I think this is one of them.
There's so many, it just makes your head spin, and nothing is going to be done about it. Everybody concerned will get away with it. Everybody that's bought PPE, or that we bought it from, that didn't work or didn't show up, or they never had the intention of providing it in the first place, and all those companies that had just a desk and a phone to call their own and £1 in the bank, who suddenly were presented with contracts for hundreds of millions of pounds to provide something they had no experience of, all of those people are going to get away with it.
But for this year, I do have some good news.
Yes?
Because I was desperate this year to be more optimistic. We're able to give Ukraine another £2.5 billion worth of arms.
Yes.
We've been supplying the Saudis with arms for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
The last big deal was about £1.5 billion. But when the Saudis needed to sort out the Houthis, we'll send our own ships because we don't want them to have to use the arms we sold them.
You know, but we've been asking this question, or I have, all show long, and the question is, why is it always us? Why is it always America and Britain? And I think that the answer is actually very, very simple. War makes fabulous amounts of money for the defence industry, which is of primary importance to this country.
Well, of course. We're the 6th richest country in the world. We're just 29th on wealth distribution because all the warmongers are buying luxury pads, extra cars, and keeping the poor people away.
It's called trickle-up economics.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not down.
On that one.
There exists no such thing as trickle-down economics. It's trickle-up. It's a pyramid scheme. Thanks, Rob. 0345 6060 973. Kieran texts, I work for a bakery. I'm not short of money. There's good dough in it. Tony texts, when you are finally Prime Minister, your podium would look stunning with "Just Stop Evil" written on it. I can picture that in my mind. That would look pretty good. What's Titchy Suit Size's podium look like? Because the podium-making industry had never had it so good, with the amount of disreputable types that went through the doors of Number 10 and stayed a while. Ain't that right, Bodge?
Yeah. Where do we...
Yeah, there was straight ones and curved ones and twisty ones. I think Liz Truss's was a twisty one.
Absolutely.
Twisted. A perfect reflection of her time in office. I'll have to look that up. But if hers was twisted, if she had the twisted one, then we all missed a big sign. I mean, she was giving us the quiet part out loud.
Warning, warning.
0345 6060 973. And because of that, I suppose it's our fault. Almost everything is. Francis says, Houthi they think they are, blocking up the sewage canal. It almost makes sense. Bolton, hello, Tom.
Hi, Nick. Good evening, sir. A few things regarding the post office scandal and the Horizon computer. You mentioned a few minutes ago about 2015, the Panorama programme, and they spoke about the computer generating errors. Well, it's actually much worse than that. What's come to light in this last couple of days, and this is from a Fujitsu employee, the computers within each post office could be remotely accessed, and basically changes were being made to the balance sheets and everything that theoretically was only available to the people in the post offices themselves. And one of the postmistresses on Sky News yesterday, one of the things that she queried, and has done for years, was whether they knew that the government were aware of all of these problems. And one of the things that a lot of the postmasters feel and believe was that it satisfied the government's agenda to close down a lot of the smaller post offices. And so I think it needs to really be brought into the limelight. The spotlight needs to be shone on it, that these computers that were theoretically safe as houses were actually being altered remotely by people at the moment. We don't know who they were. And the final thing I wanted to say was, I've been really surprised at the speed at which Sunak and the Tories have set to passing legislation and offering compensation.
They certainly can move at speed when it's in their interests.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. And I think that it's much more than being a general election. I think that they know that they've got their fingerprints all over this, and I think they want it off the front pages as soon as possible. So I think there's other strands to this that are now coming to the fore.
Right. Okay, well, I expect that's you saying that, Tom, has put you on some sort of list. And and if I were you, I'd draw the curtains and lock the front door. All right. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I mean, laughing, but nervously, right? Because it's not completely beyond the realms of possibility now, is it? I mean, you sort of expect it. Oh, here's a picture of their various podii. I assume that's the plural for podium. I bet nobody's ever asked that. Has anybody ever asked what the plural of a podium is? Is it podii? Is it podii?
I have no idea.
He's going to look it up straight away, if not sooner. And look at that. Isn't that educational? Liz Truss's podium is the one that's twisted.
Absolutely.
Boris Johnson's podium has the same outline as he does. Wider the higher you get. Mrs. M's podium is very, very thin so that you can see her dreadful shoes. You know, those shoes that she can't walk in, but probably cost a fortune, so she wouldn't want anybody to miss those. So she has a podium fashion where you can see her shoes either side of this very, very thin stick on which the lectern is held. David Cameron's podium looks like it cost about £10,000 and was specifically made for him. And there's Gordon Brown. I mean, come on. Look at that. He's got a podium that looks like it cost about £3 and was made out of bits that he found around the place. That's Gordon Brown for you. And people talk about him in negative ways. You hear him speak, and it does sound like going back in time. Back to when politicians were serious people. rather than this catastrophic clown show.
The great big greedy nincompoop.
Yeah, and the various other dopes who followed the great big greedy nincompoop. I can't believe I got that one right, that Liz Truss is it's the twisted one. You got the twisted one.
That is a disgrace.
It's perfect. Perfect for you. Each podium is perfect for the person that is speaking behind it. That was excellent work, by the way. Where did you get that from?
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I found it on socials.
Social media. And it's a post which has been put up by Count Binface, whose work you may be familiar with. Oh, and look there. The first reply was appropriate to give the twisted one to Truss. Wow. It's like I've found my cosmic twin. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Osaka. John.
Hi, Nick. Can you hear me? I'm on speaker at the moment.
It's unbelievably clear. This is by far the clearest line that I've had on this show so far tonight, and you are, by a long chalk, the furthest away.
Well, I heard you're having trouble with some of the other lines, so I thought I'd better call in and treat some of my premium Japanese phone line.
It's amazing. It's like you're calling me from next door.
All right. Well, I'm glad to alleviate that problem for you somewhat. Got two sort of anecdotes. Is it okay to talk about dentistry? I don't think anyone's talking about that, but I heard you say...
I threw it out at the beginning thinking I was going to get, loads of amusing calls about dentistry, and probably awful ones as well, and absolutely nothing whatsoever. Nobody cares about teeth.
Well, here's an idea, right, to kind of make everyone rich and fix the lack of dentists that's occurring in the UK at the moment. Right, well, last time I went to an NHS dentist probably 10 years ago, and what struck me was half the time the guy spent to me trying to saying I should become a dentist because I've become rich. He says, like, what do you do at the moment? I said, I'm a student. And he said, what do you study? And, so he might have got me. My baby's not crazy.
Just at the very idea of going to the dentist, that's the reaction, and I understand that.
He said, I said, yeah, I'm studying electronics, and then, there we go. He's going to go, mummy. Yeah, and and he said, no, stop that now, and start studying dentistry because I make loads of money, and you should be like me. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing with that, John, though, is, I mean, presumably you didn't take his advice, because if you had,
no,
with the greatest respect to those who do dentistry as a job, you're going to spend your entire life looking in people's mouths.
Yeah, it can get pretty gory in there, I guess.
Well, I went to the dentist today, and that thought struck me. Coincidentally, I went to the dentist this very day, and as I leant back and she peered inside, I thought, she does this all day long. I mean, no. It's a no from me.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to, but, there's not enough dentists going around, and not everyone has enough money, so
that's
supply
true.
and demand at the same time.
That is true, yeah. But you don't just fall into dentistry. You have to, study it for at least, 6-7 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's. I get the impression it might be a little bit tricky.
A little bit longer than that. Yeah. So what did you end up doing?
Yeah,
then,
it was more.
Don't tell me.
Engineer.
Don't tell me. Proctologist. No.
Almost. No, like a programmer for little computers that can go in physical devices. Like I made these. I worked for a company that made these card key things for buildings. So you scan your card and it lets you in.
I've got one of these around my neck right now. You're probably responsible for this this magic wand that allows me into places which would otherwise be locked.
Well, I hope not, because the product had a few issues, and it was installed on some factories, and we got some calls saying it had malfunctioned and set off a false fire alarm and opened all the doors on this industrial estate in the night. So I'd always get these it was quite a small company, so I had to deal with all the customer anger and so on.
Right.
And calling in and saying, I was up in the night and what's going on?
And were they expressing their anger in Japanese?
Oh, no, this was in Brighton.
Oh, right. Oh, well, Brighton people, I mean, they're very relaxed about, pretty much anything.
Want to score some pot?
You know, very, very relaxed in Brighton, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of the customers were in Nottingham, so didn't... but, it was relaxing after work.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was your dentist's story? Some bloke wanted you to become one?
Story.
Right. And so what...
it was more the personality of the guy talking to me that made me think I don't really want to be like this guy more than the money side of it.
Yeah.
But, and then you were saying, what was it? In Britain we're obsessed with World War II, or whatever. And I'm going to say my anecdote about the history education in the UK.
Yes.
And bearing in mind, I've only been to one secondary school in the UK, and that was like 15 years ago. So this is going to be of almost no value.
Good.
But,
that's exactly what we want.
I remember from like year 7 to year 10, it was just World War I and World War II over and over again. And I think we even repeated, well, hang on, we actually did this last year. So why are we doing it again? And then,
well, it's still history.
And then after for A-level, for the last 2 years, they started doing more modern stuff. So we did like the Suez Canal and Cold War and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, hang on, this is actually, it's got to do with, it's more recent, and it's got to do with stuff in the news now. So wouldn't it be better if we knew about this a bit more? So that's my...
well, the reason that they concentrate on World War I and World War II is that we can say with a reasonable amount of justification that we had a hand in winning those wars. But they wouldn't put it like that. They'd put it like we won those wars, like in the black and white films. Whereas Suez and all of the rest of that modern stuff, not so much winning, really, more like losing.
Yeah, we did get a school trip out of the World War II stuff as well, because we can just go on the Eurostar for like a day or two.
Oh.
So that was and on the way back, I remember the teacher he stocked up like half of the coach with like industrial wine, some like industrial estate. We were like, what's going on here? And we stopped in Paris as well, and we did like a walking tour. He took us through the red light district.
Oh yeah.
And then we got to the end, and he said, "All right, lads, it's free time now. I'll meet you back here in about an hour." And that's actually what happened.
Make it an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we were like 16 at that time. So I was a bit surprised that.
Yeah, awesome.
That they did that. But,
and it hasn't done you any harm at all.
Oh no!
I don't know. That was too long a pause there, John. So maybe it's done you a little bit of harm.
Maybe I'm just thinking. Whenever I come on here, I always have like 2 or 3 points, but
you
I always
forget
tell the
them.
boy.
Yeah, you always forget. You have to make notes, John. Otherwise, you will forget something important. Gotta go. Thanks for that.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. So I've seen the plinths, the podiums, the podii of Liz Truss, Bodger Johnson, Mrs M, poor Mrs M, and David Cameron and Gordon Brown. And Gordon Brown looks like the only honest person among them. The rest of them they've spent way too much of our money on their podii, particularly Liz Bloomin' Truss.
Absolutely.
I mean, good grief. How much did that thing cost? That twisted monstrosity. And there's Gordon Brown in what looks like the stand that you'd put a TV on in school. It does. It's like this sort of telescopic wheelies stand. You must have spent 10 pence on it. Good for you, Gordon Brown. Last serious person we've had as Prime Minister of this country. But what does Titchy Suit Size's podium look like? Do we have a picture of Titchy's?
Wait there.
I am waiting here. Take all the time you need. It's a live show. Oh, I'm sorry. Time's up. But we'll come up with that in a moment. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Oh, right. It looks, I don't know why they all have to have a different one. I mean, what do they do with the old ones, for crying out loud? What would you do with a used podium? I mean, particularly one that had been used by Bodger Johnson, for instance.
Disgusting.
Oh, it has sticky hands all over it. Can you imagine? The one that Liz Truss used, though, is nearly new. It could be sold as new if necessary. Boris Johnson's would be 70% off, and Liz Truss's, it would be, 95% of its usual price. And there's Titchy Suit Size, he's chosen a podium which is sort of the same as the way he chooses his suits. Thin. What an absolute shower. Anyway, Julius texts, your characterisation of the British on the world stage, barging in, taking stuff and shooting objectors, seems very much like the character and behaviour of the monarchy on a national scale writ large on the globe. I can't help but reflect that perhaps so much of what is rotten at the heart of our country and corrupt in the nature of our elites is derived from and apparently validated by the deeply enduring venal institution that is our monarchy. Oh, no. Not this again. Not again. Oh, I tell you what, as bad as some of them are, it serves them right that every time they get out of a carriage, they have to suffer that. Podia, plural. Oh, you really are coming up with some excellent material today.
Thank you very much. You're so kind.
And so what's this?
This is a little bit of interesting copy on...
it's the price. 2 lecterns with the same design were made for Liz Truss.
Absolutely.
One paid for by the government and the other paid for by the Conservative Party. I bet they were both paid for by us. What are they talking about, paid for by the government, and one paid for by the Conservative Party? They were both paid for by us. Us poor dopes who pay taxes.
The little people.
Exactly. The main lectern for Liz Truss, that twisted thing, the lectern, not... not the person who's standing behind it, although the main lectern paid for by the government cost £4,175 to make.
What?
For a lectern. And was used for 2 addresses to the nation at 10 Downing Street. 2. £4,175 for a stand to put a piece of paper on. God, they just don't care, do they? The CCHQ version of the lectern was given Union Jack stickers and was used for her victory speech following the July to September Conservative Party leadership election. Her victory speech, I think it amounted to this.
We have never had it so good.
Immediately followed by this. Bill! Yeah, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Blimey. 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 Blimey, 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 blimey,